Many claims that their solutions are human-centered, but from information perspective and not an insight. Information stems from observations with no clear action points, whereas insights reveal the real motivations behind what people say and do. I'm Chris Inieto. In the next chapters, we will talk about what an insight is versus what it isn't, why should you care, and how can you turn observations into compelling insight statements. So, in my experience, I've heard consumer insight used in brainstorming sessions and client presentations quite often. It's become this jargon weaponized to validate a solution or create an illusion that people are pro consumers. Like agile and innovation, it has often been misused, misunderstood, and sadly taken for granted. What happens is designers rush this process in favor of the more tangible and arguably more fun ideation phase, which is perfectly understandable because insight generation is not easy. Insights don't stop at the what and don't show us the how. It's this in between stage of the design process that feels very incomplete, making it difficult for most people, including myself, to comprehend. If you find yourself debating constantly with your teammates or your clients, that's fine. It's perfectly normal. Personally, it's easy to understand what insight is by first knowing what it isn't. Number one, insight is not just a jargon. I'm not going to bore you with history, but it's important for you to know that it's not just a trivial method that was created by a bunch of marketing executives. In fact, this discipline goes all the way back to the 1940s, where it was previously known as motivational research. Motivation research laid the foundation of what we now know as consumer behaviors, applying methods successfully used in other branches of psychology and social science. Now, this actually makes sense because buying, consumption, decision making, after all, are human activities. In other words, insights is more than just a fancy term. It's an actual discipline to gain a deeper understanding of humans. Number two, insight is not an observation. I know I sound like a broken record, but this is one of the most common mistakes in understanding what an insight is. Observation tells us what people say and do. It's the cognitive and emotional patterns of behavior of human beings that is obvious to the naked eye. But insights tells us why. Remember the illustration I shared in the previous chapter? When you ask why, insight can help connect the data with the solution. Here are some great examples. Observation. Women say they don't like most product ads. Why? Because they portray women who do not look like 95% of women. Idea. Dove Real Beauty. Observation. Not everyone aspires to be a competitive athlete. Why? Because it's not attainable or believable. Idea. Find your greatness. What does it tell us? It tells us that insights reveals a deeper understanding of the people's behaviors, their values, their dreams, their concerns, and in some cases reveals why they behave or doesn't behave in a certain way. Often insights are non-obvious and they don't simply leap at you. The bottom line is analyze intensely and always get to the why. Number three, insight is not the end. Once you have an insight, the battle is only halfway done. Think of it as the guiding light for the rest of your solution. Once you've turned data into insights, you have to turn insights into opportunities. For this to happen, insights must be number one, actionable, meaning if I give this to a client or a design team, it will trigger multiple solutions. Number two, simple and concise. If you have to overthink your insights or use 3 sentences to describe it, you probably don't have an insight. Insights can't be multi-layered. Number three, inspiring. A truly great insight is a game changer. It's that eureka moment. For example, the insight that the connection of the people who loved coffee didn't only have to take place in their homes, transformed the coffee shop experience into the Starbucks moment. Number four, insight is an ethical practice. Yes, I know I broke my rules by saying what an insight is this time, but it's very important to note that insight generation is very much an ethical practice. As designers, you are gatekeepers of the data that was shared to you by the people you interview. And while there are regulations and contracts around the collection and use of data, you have to reach a higher standard than will we get sued. As you interpret and analyze data, you need to respect and treat them as peoples and not sometimes experiments. See them as co-contributors of the data, and how can that exchange be rewarded through a better solution, for example. This is how you build empathy in this process. Finding teams. This comes straight after you've downloaded your learnings. Are you seeing any patterns? Are there topics that have been mentioned more than once? Is there anything that surprised you or felt significant? If so, then you're ready to find themes. Using my recent work as an example, what you'll see are clusters of themes that we've migrated based on patterns we've heard from the Gen Z's relationships with banks. At this point, it doesn't have to be fleshed out as final insight statements. But it is important that the team discuss, debate, and talk through what's emerging. Don't stop until everyone is satisfied that the clusters represent rich opportunities for design. Create insight statements. This is the crucial part where all the principles and definitions that we've discussed in Chapter 2 must be applied. A great way to construct an insight statement is by adding a connector between the observation and the understanding. Use because to know what's the underlying emotional driver for this need. Use but to know what's a potential tension that hinders the user from meeting this need. Use surprisingly to know what was the surprising discovery about the need. Insight statements are incredibly valuable because they help you frame your how might we questions. But insights, again, are hard work. Be vigilant and take your time in digging deeper. Identify a key insight to focus on. There's a big chance that you'll come up with multiple insight statements, but similar to creative solutions, you must learn how to let go of your other children in favor of one. Remember Sophie's choice. There are two approaches to go about it. The first one is more informal, but requires storytelling. Jane Fulton Surrey from Ideo suggests to prototype a story as early as possible and watching the signals from people around you on who would sit up and listen or would have epiphany moments like, aha, I actually never thought of it that way. The second approach is more structured using a tool called Insight Selector. These allows the team to map out the insights based on the level of their non-obviousness and relevance to the design challenge. You've reached the end of the course. Now that you've generated insights, you're now ready for the next phase of developing and delivering meaningful solutions. If you have any questions, you may follow me or message me on LinkedIn. Thanks for watching.